Songs About Love, or Piosenki o miłości, the original Polish title, new black and white drama, directorial debut of Tomasz Chabowski, starring Tomasz Włosok, Justyna Święca and Andrzej Grabowski. It won the main award of the micro-budget film competition at the last Gdynia Film Festival. And the film follows Robert, a guy who's somewhere around 30 years old. He's an aspiring musician, but as we quickly learn through what other people say about him, he's sort of been going through life without a direction, without ambition of achieving anything, quickly getting bored with his numerous hobbies that he picked up over the years, and he can afford this kind of lifestyle thanks to his father. Andrzej, that's his name, he's the one who mainly sees him through that lens of laziness and failure. And Andrzej himself is an accomplished actor who also happens to be a bona fide asshole. He's extremely selfish, narcissistic, rude, routinely hurts people or ignores them, and essentially he either ignores other people or berates them for not being at his level. He seems to have no positive qualities at all. And Robert is desperate to escape from his shadow, to actually do something with his life finally and prove to everyone once and for all that he doesn't have to be defined by just being someone's son. And that chance for him comes when he meets Alicja, a young girl who's very shy. She's working as a waitress, and she seems to have an excellent singing voice. And together they begin collaborating on her own songs that she writes, and in the process they're getting closer and closer together personally. So I really loved the trailer for this film and then went to see it, and I'm pleased to say that the film delivers on its promises. It's a really solid mix of drama, doomed romance and character study centered around a brilliant performance by Tomasz Włosok. I think the character of Robert is just fantastic, and that goes both for the writing and for the performance. The thing about him is that over the course of the film, he really proves to be an untrustworthy asshole himself, much like his father. But depending on how you approach the film, you can read it slightly differently. What I mean is that my girlfriend and I discussed it afterwards, and for each of us there were different points at which we realized or judged Robert to be the bad guy. For her it was pretty early on. For me it was much later, because his early actions I sort of judged as results of his desperation and ambition and justified them that way. I could see that some of his actions were, yes, they were awful and toxic in retrospect, but I was still giving him leeway because I could see that a lot of who he is stems from this extremely strained and toxic relationship with his father, which is definitely something that influences who you are and casts a shadow on you. And also what I found interesting is that there's still contrast between the father and the son, where the father revels in being an asshole, whereas Robert struggles with his decisions. There's certainly some guilt and regret about the things he does and the consequences of them, even if he continues to do them. So that's kind of a fascinating character and a fascinating dynamic between the son and the father. Again, I think Włosok's performance really fleshes the character out, and he's quite charismatic and magnetic even in the role. I thought the same of Grabowski, who's almost cartoonishly evil, except he isn't. You can see that it's just mainly pride and hubris turned to extreme levels. Justyna Święca does a good job, although I think her role isn't as meaty, but she more than makes up for it with her own singing. And I have to say, I love the songs in general. I think they're brilliantly written, and they are a storytelling tool in their own, reflecting the events of the film through the lyrics. In terms of the cinematography, the film is shot in the gorgeous black and white, with one significant exception. There are sequences which are shot with a phone in vertical mode, and it's always the characters in the film recording themselves and one another, recording early demos of the songs and also just hanging around together. And those are filled with color, and they look very raw and very real, and just as you'd expect from phone footage. And as my girlfriend put it, the rest of the film feels very cinematic and movie-like, but those sequences really seem exactly like real life, and therefore help you believe in the emotions of the film. The one thing I'm not entirely sold on is the ending. I think I expected more of a punch, but then again, I'm not sure myself if I'm reading it right. So I think, you know, perhaps others will find it more fitting or more satisfying. But regardless of that, I think that the rest of the movie is strong enough to warrant the recommendation anyway. Very well written and almost perfectly executed between the performances, the cinematography, and the music. Impressive stuff, especially coming from a first-time director.